The massive transport ship hummed with a low, threatening vibration. Its metal walls gleamed under harsh blue-green lights that cast long shadows across the holding area. June Park sat perfectly still, his hands bound but his back straight. Around him, alien guards shifted uncomfortably, their multi-jointed limbs moving in jerky, nervous patterns. He was 16, but looked older. Years of hardship had carved something fierce into his face, a look that made even the alien guards avoid direct eye contact. The boy wore simple clothes, dark gray pants, a worn jacket that had seen better days, and boots caked with dust from a dozen different planets. The ship had been traveling for what seemed like weeks. Each day blended into the next, a blur of metal corridors and silent tension. June remembered his mother's last words before he was captured. "Stay strong. Never show them fear." He hadn't. When the resistance cell on Epsilon Colony was attacked, Jun had been the last to leave. He could have escaped, should have escaped, but he stayed behind, helping others, children, older people who couldn't move quickly, to reach the hidden evacuation tunnels. That hesitation cost him everything. The alien guards were from the Galactic Imperium's elite security force. Their skin looked like polished metal, with scales that shifted colors when they moved. 4 arms, solid black eyes. Each one stood nearly 8 feet tall, towering over June's smaller human frame. They spoke in a language of clicks and deep rumbles, a sound that seemed to vibrate through the metal floor. Human designation: June Park, the lead guard suddenly announced in broken English. The translator device on its chest made the words sound flat and emotionless. "You will be processed for execution. Charges: terrorist activities. Resistance against Imperium control." Jun didn't respond. He had learned that silence was often more powerful than words. The transport ship began its final descent. Through a small viewing port, Jun could see the alien capital world, a planet of massive metal structures that rose like mountains, connected by bridges that stretched across entire continents. Billions of lights twinkled, creating a network that looked like a circuit board from space. This was the heart of the Galactic Imperium, a place where thousands of species were ruled with absolute control. Humans were just one of many conquered peoples, expected to be quiet, obedient, broken. But Jun wasn't broken. Not yet. He thought about his father, a man he barely remembered, but who lived like a legend in his mother's stories. Michael Park, an American sniper who disappeared during the First Contact Wars. A ghost story that the Imperium whispered about in dark corners. The ship landed with a heavy thud. Magnetic locks engage. Pressure systems equalized. A series of mechanical sounds that meant only one thing: escape was no longer an option. 2 guards approached Jun. Their massive hands could crush his skull with minimal effort. But they moved with unexpected caution. Something in the boy's eyes made them nervous. "Stand," one guard commanded. Jun stood smoothly, without resistance. No chains could hold a spirit like his. The processing center was a massive hall. Smooth metal walls. Bright lights that seemed designed to blind and disorient. Hundreds of alien officials watched from elevated platforms. This wasn't just an execution. It was a show of power. A high-ranking official stepped forward. Its body was a mixture of insectoid and reptilian features, something that would have looked terrifying to most humans. But Jun just stared back, unblinking. "June Park," the official's translator crackled. "You stand accused of multiple acts of resistance, of undermining Imperium control. Your sentence is death." The crowd of alien officials murmured. Some looked excited. Some looked bored. None of them saw the fire burning behind Jun's eyes. None of them knew what was coming. The small apartment was quiet. Moonlight filtered through dusty windows, casting long shadows across old photographs and worn furniture. Elena Park moved slowly, her hands carefully cleaning an old rifle that held more memories than most people would ever understand. 10 years earlier, the world had been different. Humans were just discovering they weren't alone in the universe. First contact wasn't the peaceful meeting everyone had hoped for. It was a war. Michael Park had been a different man then. A sniper with the United States Marine Corps, he was more than just a soldier. He was a legend among those who understood what was really happening when the first alien ships appeared. Most people remembered the day differently. News reports talked about peaceful communication, diplomatic meetings, cultural exchanges, but Michael knew better. He saw the signs early, the subtle movements, the hidden threats, the way the alien ships positioned themselves. When the first real attack came, Michael was ready. He remembered the briefing. Cold metal room, maps projected on massive screens, military leaders talking in hushed, worried voices. The aliens weren't here to make friends. They were here to conquer. We're looking at a total invasion strategy. The lead strategist had said, these beings don't want communication. They want total control. Michael had been part of a special unit, trained for the impossible, selected not just for their shooting skills, but for their ability to think differently, to see patterns where others saw chaos. His first confirmed kill was at 2,300 meters. An alien command ship's leading officer. One shot. Perfect placement. It was more than just shooting. It was a message. The war was brutal. Humans were outgunned, out-etched, but they weren't outfought. Michael met Elena during those early days. She was a communication specialist. Smart, quick, someone who could read between the lines of alien transmissions. They fell in love quickly, two people who understood that survival meant everything. June was born during the worst of the conflict, a child of war, a reminder that hope existed even in the darkest times. But then Michael disappeared. The official report said he was killed in action. A massive alien counterattack. Total destruction of his unit. No survivors. Elena knew better. She spent years collecting information, tracking whispers, following tiny clues. Michael was too good to be simply killed, too smart to be caught. Your father is a ghost, she would tell young June. But ghosts have power. They can't be stopped by something as simple as death. She trained June, not like most parents would train a child. She taught him survival, strategy, how to think 3 steps ahead, how to use every piece of information as a weapon. The universe is big, she would say, but humans are bigger, smarter, more adaptable. Their apartment was filled with old maps, communication logs, pieces of alien technology that Elena had managed to collect over the years. June grew up surrounded by the story of resistance. He learned to shoot before he could ride a bicycle. He understood communication codes before he understood basic math. His childhood was a preparation, a long, careful training for something bigger. Elena never showed fear. Not when alien patrols swept through their colony. Not when communication lines were cut. Not when friends disappeared. We are not victims, she would tell June. We are survivors. The rifle she was cleaning now was Michael's original weapon. Modified. Improved. A piece of history that represented more than just a tool. It was a promise. A connection to a father June barely remembered. Outside, the colony lights flickered. Another alien patrol would soon pass. Another night of careful watching, of waiting. Michael might be gone, but his legacy remained. In Elena's eyes, in June's training, in the quiet determination of a family that refused to be broken. The universe was watching, but it didn't know what was coming. The Imperium's central execution platform was a marvel of alien engineering. It rose from the planet's surface like a metal mountain, its surface reflecting the harsh light of 3 different suns. Every inch of the structure was designed to show power, to crush hope. Thousands of alien species had been invited to watch. This wasn't just an execution. It was a performance, a show of total control. June Park sat in a small transport vehicle, surrounded by guards whose bodies looked more like machines than living creatures. Each guard was 8 feet tall, with armor that seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. Their weapons could turn a human to ash in less than a second. But Jun wasn't looking at the guards. He was watching, listening, calculating. His mother's training echoed in his mind. Every detail matters. Every movement has meaning. Every sound tells a story. The transport moved slowly through a series of security checkpoints. Each checkpoint was more complex than the last. Scanning devices, force fields, automated weapon systems that could lock onto any moving target in milliseconds. Most prisoners would be terrified. Most would have given up hope. Jun was not most prisoners. He counted the guards, noted their breathing patterns, watched how they moved, how they shifted their weight, where their eyes looked, how their communication devices worked. Humans had always been good at understanding patterns. The Imperium was about to remember that. Outside the transport, the alien capital world stretched in every direction. Massive buildings that looked like they were grown instead of built. Bridges that connected structures miles above the ground. Vehicles that moved in perfect, mathematically precise lines. It was a world of total control, perfect order. No room for anything unexpected. No room for humans. The lead guard approached Jun. Its translator device crackled to life. Human prisoner. Prepare for final processing. Jun said nothing, but his eyes never stopped moving. The execution platform was visible now. It was huge, nearly a mile wide, designed to hold hundreds of thousands of viewers. Alien species from across the galaxy had come to watch a human child die. They didn't know what was coming. Inside the transport, Jun's hands were bound, but his mind was working faster than any of the guards could imagine. He had been preparing for this moment his entire life. The stories his mother told, the training she gave him, the lessons about survival, about resistance, about never giving up. They all led to this moment. Another security checkpoint, more scanning devices, more guards. One of the guards looked nervous. Its four hands kept moving, checking and rechecking weapons. Something wasn't right, but none of them could explain what. Jun knew why. The transport began its final approach to the execution platform. Massive screens showed Jun's face to the waiting crowd. A young human boy, about to be made an example of. But examples can be dangerous things. The crowd was a mix of alien species. Some looked excited. Some looked bored. Some looked curious. Thousands of different eyes. Thousands of different ways of seeing the world. None of them saw what was about to happen. Jun took a slow breath, remembered his mother's last words before he was captured. Stay strong. Never show them fear. The transport's doors began to open. The execution platform waited. The universe held its breath. The first shot came without warning. One moment, the execution platform was perfectly still. The next, a high-ranking Imperium official collapsed. No sound, no drama, just a precise hit that dropped the alien where it stood. Chaos erupted. The shot had come from impossibly far away, so perfect, so clean, that it seemed almost unreal. Alien security teams scrambled. Their communication systems suddenly went crazy. Warnings, alerts, panic. Another shot. Another official fell. This was different from any attack the Imperium had seen before. These weren't random shots. Each one was placed with surgical precision. Each shot caused maximum damage with minimal disruption. Jun knew that shooting style. He had heard stories about it his entire life. The execution platform became a scene of total confusion. Alien guards ran in all directions. Their perfect formation dissolved into panic. Some tried to protect the remaining officials. Some tried to find cover. Some just froze. A third shot. A fourth shot. Each bullet found its mark with impossible accuracy. Not a single unintended target was hit. It was like watching a deadly dance of precision and control. The viewing platforms emptied. Thousands of alien species who had come to watch an execution now fought to escape. Their advanced technology meant nothing against these impossible shots. Jun remained perfectly calm. He recognized the pattern, the way the shots were placed, the timing, the precision. There was only one person who could shoot like this: his father. Michael Park had entered the game. The transport holding Jun began to shake. Something was happening. The guards inside looked confused. Their communication devices sparked and died. Advanced technology suddenly became useless. One guard reached for its weapon. Another shot rang out. The weapon exploded in the guard's hand, not killing the guard, just destroying the weapon. Another perfect shot. Someone was sending a message. More shots followed, each one strategic, each one impossible. Communication systems went down. Weapon systems failed. The entire execution platform became a zone of total confusion. Alien species began to realize something terrifying. This wasn't a normal attack. This was something else entirely. These weren't random shots. These were a message. Jun watched as the chaos spread. His hands were still bound, but his eyes were alive. He knew exactly what was happening. His mother had prepared him for this moment his entire life. The sniper shots continued, always precise, always strategic. Some alien officials tried to activate emergency protocols. Their systems failed. Some tried to escape. Their escape routes were blocked. Each move was anticipated. Each action was countered. It was like watching a master chess player control an entire board. The execution platform, designed to show Imperium power, now showed something else entirely. Weakness, vulnerability. The idea that total control was just an illusion. More shots rang out, each one perfectly placed, each one telling a story of human capability, a story of resistance, a story of revenge. Jun allowed himself a small smile. His father had arrived, and the real show was just beginning. The dust began to settle. The execution platform, once a symbol of Imperium power, now looked like a broken machine. Alien officials lay scattered, some wounded, some unconscious, some simply stunned by what had just happened. Michael Park moved like a ghost. From his hidden position miles away, he continued to watch. Each shot had been calculated, each movement planned years in advance. This wasn't just a rescue. This was a message to the entire Galactic Imperium. Humans were not beaten. Humans were not controlled. In the chaos, Jun remained calm. His training kicked in. While others would panic, he observed, watched, calculated. The transport holding him began to change. Something was happening to its systems. Electronic locks started to malfunction. Security protocols began to fail. One by one, the transport's defenses fell apart. Michael's communication device, a piece of technology far beyond what the Imperium could understand, sent precise signals. Each signal was like a key, breaking, changing, reshaping the transport's internal systems. Jun knew what was coming. Years of training with his mother had prepared him for moments exactly like this, when technology could be your friend or your enemy, when survival meant understanding systems better than those who created them. The first lock clicked open, then another, then another. Alien guards inside the transport looked confused. Their advanced technology was failing. Their weapons were becoming useless. They didn't understand what was happening. Jun understood perfectly. Outside, the sniper shots continued. But now they were different. Not just taking down officials. Now they were creating paths, opening routes, clearing obstacles. A rescue was coming. Michael Park had spent years preparing for this moment. Years of watching, learning, understanding the Imperium's systems better than the Imperium itself. He had become a ghost, a legend among the human resistance, a name that made alien commanders wake up in fear. The transport's main door began to move, slowly at first, then faster. The electronic systems that once held it closed now worked to open it. Jun remained perfectly still. This was a dance, a careful plan that had been years in the making. More shots rang out. But these weren't killing shots. These were strategic shots, shots that created confusion, that broke communication, that made the Imperium look weak. Each shot told a story of human resistance, a story of a father's love, a story of revenge. The transport door opened fully. Alien guards inside looked around, confused, scared. Their perfect security had become a trap. June took his first step. Freedom was close. But this was more than just a rescue. This was a statement, a declaration that humans would not be controlled, would not be beaten, would not be forgotten. The Imperium had made a mistake. They had tried to execute a boy. They didn't know what was coming. Michael watched from his hidden position. Years of planning, years of waiting, years of preparing for this exact moment. A father was about to rescue his son. A message was about to be sent. The universe was about to change. The moment stretched like a rubber band about to snap. June moved first, not fast, not slow, just perfectly calculated. His training kicked in exactly as his mother had taught him. Every movement had a purpose. Every step was planned. The alien guards inside the transport looked confused. Their weapons were useless. Their communication systems dead. They didn't understand what was happening. June understood everything. One guard moved to block him. A massive creature with 4 arms and armor that could stop most weapons. June didn't fight. He moved. A small step to the left. A quick twist of his body. The guard's momentum carried it forward. 1 second later, the guard crashed into the transport's wall. No wasted energy. No unnecessary violence. Outside, the sniper shots continued. But now, they were different. Creating paths, opening routes, breaking communication lines. Michael Park worked like a machine. Each shot was more than a bullet. It was a message, a statement, a declaration of human capability. The transport's internal systems continued to fail. Locks opened. Security protocols collapsed. Advanced alien technology became nothing more than expensive metal. June reached the transport's main door. He paused, listened, watched. The execution platform was chaos. Alien officials ran in all directions. Security teams tried to respond. But every attempt was blocked. Every communication was cut. This was a rescue unlike anything the Imperium had ever seen. More shots rang out, each one perfectly placed, each one telling a story of precision and control. June took another step. Freedom was close. The first outside door opened. Fresh air rushed in. The smell of something other than metal and alien technology. A communication device in June's pocket, something his mother had hidden years ago, began to vibrate. A specific pattern, a code only he would understand. His father was close. The alien guards inside the transport were completely lost. Their perfect training meant nothing against this kind of attack, this kind of precision. June moved again. Another guard tried to block him. Another guard fell. Not through violence, through pure understanding of movement, of physics, of how bodies work. Outside, the sniper shots told a story of a father coming to rescue his son, a story of human resistance, a story that the Imperium would never forget. Michael watched from his hidden position. Years of planning had come down to this moment, every detail calculated, every possibility considered. The transport's systems continued to fail. More doors opened, more paths cleared. June reached the final door. The execution platform was a mess of broken technology and confused alien species. Something was coming, something they couldn't understand. A rescue was happening. A message was being sent. The universe was about to change. Michael's voice came through the hidden communication device. Soft, calm, precise. Almost there, son. June allowed himself a small smile. The real show was just beginning. The first human appeared like a ghost. Michael Park moved across the execution platform with a grace that didn't make sense. He wasn't running. He wasn't walking. He was flowing, like water moving through impossible spaces. June saw his father for the first time in years. Nothing had prepared him for this moment. The stories, the training, the memories from his mother, they were nothing compared to seeing Michael in real life. His father looked exactly the same as the old photographs, and completely different. Alien security teams tried to respond. Their weapons came up. Their communication systems scrambled to find a way to fight back. It was already too late. Michael moved like he could see the future. Each step anticipated. Each movement calculated. Alien guards who thought they were going to stop him suddenly found themselves on the ground. Not hurt, just confused, unable to understand what had just happened. June and Michael moved together. No words were needed. Years of training, years of preparation, years of understanding each other without speaking. The execution platform became a dance floor. Michael and June moved through alien guards like they were made of smoke. No violence, no unnecessary fighting, just pure understanding of movement, of physics, of how bodies work. More alien officials tried to stop them. More alien officials failed. The Imperium's most secure location became its most embarrassing moment. Alien technology failed. Communication systems died. Weapon platforms collapsed. Michael's communication device, a piece of technology far beyond what the Imperium could understand, sent signals that broke everything around them. Locks opened. Barriers fell. Security systems crashed. This wasn't just a rescue. This was a message. Humans were not a species to be controlled. June watched his father work. Every movement was a lesson. Every step was a story. They reached the edge of the execution platform. Alien species watched in shock. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy saw something they had never seen before. Two humans, moving like they owned the entire platform. Like they were more than just prisoners. Like they were something else entirely. Michael spoke for the first time. "We're not done," he said to June. "This is just the beginning." The first escape vehicles appeared. Not alien technology. Human technology. Something the Imperium had never seen before. Small, fast, impossible to track. Michael and June moved toward them. The execution platform was in total chaos. Alien officials ran in all directions. Security teams were lost. No one understood what had just happened. A rescue had occurred. A message had been sent. The Imperium had made a mistake. They had tried to execute a boy. They didn't know what was coming. Michael looked at his son. June looked back. No words were needed. They understood each other perfectly. The first escape vehicle opened, waiting for them. The universe held its breath. Something was changing. Something big was coming. And it started right here. The small escape vehicle moved like a shadow. No alien tracking system could see it. No sensor could detect its movement. It was a piece of technology that looked like nothing special, but it was everything special. Michael Park guided the vehicle with hands that seemed to know every possible move before it happened. June watched carefully, learning, observing, understanding. "This isn't just about us," Michael said. His voice was calm, almost quiet. June knew what he meant. The escape was bigger than one person, bigger than one family. This was about something else entirely. Michael began to explain. For years, he had been building a network, not just a resistance group, something more complex, a system of human cells spread across different planets, different colonies, different alien territories. Each cell was like a small piece of a massive puzzle. Some cells gathered information. Some prepared weapons. Some worked on communication systems. Some trained new resistance members. June listened. His mother had prepared him for this moment, had told him pieces of the story, but hearing it from his father was different. "The Imperium thinks humans are beaten," Michael said. "They think we're just another conquered species." He pulled up a holographic map. Dozens of points lit up. Red, blue, green. Each point represented a human resistance cell. Some were on mining colonies. Some were on agricultural planets. Some were in places the Imperium didn't even know existed. Your capture was part of the plan, Michael continued. June looked surprised. Michael explained. The public execution was a chance to show the Imperium's weakness, to demonstrate that humans could strike anywhere, at any time. The sniper attack wasn't just about rescuing June. It was a message, a declaration of war. More points began to light up on the holographic map. Resistance cells were activating. Communication systems were coming online. Weapons were being prepared. This was more than a rescue. This was the beginning of something big. The escape vehicle moved through space. No alien ship could track it. No sensor could see it. Michael explained how they had prepared. Years of planning. Years of waiting. Years of building a network that the Imperium couldn't understand. Humans had been studying alien technology. Learning. Adapting. Understanding. The Imperium thought humans were weak. They were wrong. More communication signals came through the vehicle system. Resistance cells reporting in. Each message a small piece of a larger plan. We're going to change everything, Michael said. June understood. This wasn't just about fighting. This was about survival. About showing the universe what humans could do. The map continued to light up. More points. More resistance cells. More human locations coming online. The Imperium had made a mistake. They had tried to execute a boy. They didn't know what was coming. The escape vehicle moved silently through space. A small thing. Carrying 2 humans. Carrying a massive plan. The universe was about to change. And it started right here. The resistance base looked like nothing special. From the outside, it was just another abandoned mining facility on a forgotten moon. Metals rusted. Old equipment sat silent. Nothing moved. But inside, everything was different. Humans from a dozen different colonies worked together. Some were former soldiers. Some were scientists. Some were people who had lost everything to the Imperium. Michael and June arrived quietly. No one made a big deal about their return. No celebration. No loud welcome. Just a few nods, a few quiet smiles. The kind of welcome that meant something real. We have a window, Michael told the base commander. The commander was an older woman. Her name was Elena Rodriguez. No relation to June's mother, but she looked like she could have been. Holographic screens came to life. Imperium communication networks were in chaos. The execution platform attack had worked perfectly. More resistance cells were coming online. More human colonies were preparing. The Imperium had no idea what was happening. June watched carefully. His entire life had been preparation for this moment. Years of training. Years of waiting. Years of understanding that something big was coming. Michael began to explain the next phase of the plan. The Imperium thought humans were weak. They were wrong. Each resistance cell had been preparing. Studying alien technology. Learning. Adapting. The first attack was just the beginning. More screens showed different locations, different human resistance groups. Each one ready. Each one waiting. We're not just fighting, Michael said. We're surviving. June understood. This wasn't about revenge. This was about something bigger. About showing the universe what humans could do. The base was a machine of preparation. People worked quietly. No wasted movement. No extra noise. Communication systems prepared. Weapons checked. Plans reviewed. The Imperium had made a mistake. They had tried to execute a boy. They didn't know what was coming. Elena Rodriguez looked at Michael and June. The first stage is complete, she said. Michael nodded. June watched. More screens came to life. More resistance cells reported in. Each one a small piece of a larger plan. The universe was changing. Humans were not going to be controlled. Humans were not going to be forgotten. The first attack had worked perfectly. The next stages were coming. Outside, the abandoned moon looked silent. Inside, a revolution was being born. Michael looked at his son. June looked back. No words were needed. They understood each other perfectly. Something big was coming, and it started right here. With a boy the Imperium thought they could execute, with a father who never gave up, with a resistance that would change everything. The universe held its breath, waiting, watching. The humans were coming.